my name is Marta Wolander and I graduated from Westminster in 2008. And then I went on to do a master's at King's College. I should probably say what I studied here as well. I did a BA in Arabic and International Relations, which was very interesting indeed. Went on to do masters in International Relations because I felt I hadn't really had enough at all. I wanted to dig deeper into that field. So basically after my masters I went to Brussels for a year and I did 2 internships with human rights organizations, which came quite naturally to me because I had been working or volunteering for Amnesty International since the age of 13 or something like that. So that kind of led on from the masters, went to Brussels, participated in advocacy activities and so on. Then realized that working in front of a computer like 90% of the time wasn't really my type of thing, so I wanted to do something more hands-on, go back to more kind of grassroots activities. So I came back to London and I'm now with the Refugee Council in Brixton, where I work I do hands-on work, like working with real people rather than computers, and advising asylum seekers and refugees, assisting their benefits applications and so on, directing them to different bodies that can provide legal aid and so on, legal advice. And I also teach skills for life and English to these people, which is really lovely. Well, studying at university really, it's going to sound like a bit of a cliche, but it really does help you develop many different types of skills, and obviously not only academically but also well, if you first look at the academic side of things, you obviously learn how to conduct research and how to form an informed opinion, how to back it up with arguments and so on. You also learn all kinds of sort of time management skills, people skills, whatnot. So these are a few of the things that I feel like I took with me from Westminster, and it really prepared me for doing a master's later on. I didn't really have any grand aspirations or any kind of agenda when I started studying. I did it more for sort of out of personal interest, for self-fulfillment, and I've always really enjoyed studying and so on. So my outlook was, well, I just took it for what it was, but at some level I thought it would be quite easy to get a job in the NGO world or something like that. So my outlook was very positive when I started, and of course that has inevitably changed a bit, because you do realize that the competition is fierce, and even in the world of charity organizations or NGOs, the competition is very, as I said, fierce, and people will try and elbow their way forward. So it is, I might have a bit more of a cynical outlook at the moment, but perhaps a more realistic one. But this kind of, these difficulties in finding a job that you really wanted have sort of led me onto different paths, and that's also quite exciting. And it pushes you to kind of embrace all kinds of opportunities that come along the way. So that kind of opens your mind and allows you to explore more areas related to your studies, and not just what you had in mind at the beginning. Well, if I look at some of my classmates, they've sort of, because I guess I've kind of stayed somewhat within the framework that I had in mind, sort of charity work, even though now I'm working with people on a sort of lower level rather than an advocacy level. I'm still in that kind of framework that I had imagined. But as I said, many of my classmates from Westminster or from King's, from my masters, they have found themselves sort of in a completely different type of position than they had thought. So there's one guy working as a real estate agent, somebody else, what do we have? Yeah, another guy ended up as a headhunter with a really high salary because of his degree, but not at all in the field that he had thought. So it can either lead in that direction, like having a degree in any subject is obviously useful and it makes you quite employable most of the time. So it can either help you in that way by just sort of adding to your CV, or it can also lead you in the direction you had hoped for or thought, because other people are working in the Foreign Office or in a think tank, somebody else is doing a PhD. So I think that's sort of what I was getting at, that you have to be open for life to take you in various directions, not necessarily in the one you had initially thought it would, I guess. I genuinely really did enjoy my time here, absolutely. It is quite a diverse student body, people from all over the place coming together and kind of sharing their outlooks as well and prior experience. And also in the department there were many opportunities to kind of get to know both staff and other students from different years, so you weren't only socializing with people from your own year or class. So that was really interesting and nice. After finishing my masters, I suddenly had to wake up and get out there and do something with my life. So it was quite a natural development for me natural thing to apply for internships in this sort of NGO world, because I had already sort of done voluntary work with Amnesty International since the age of 13, 14, and so I did apply, and the competition already there for like unpaid internships was really fierce, but I got in on an internship with an organization called the Euro-Mediterranean Human Rights Organization, the EMHRN. So I worked with them for about half a year, participating in human rights advocacy work on the EU level. So we were lobbying EU politicians, MEPs and so on, which was very interesting. Kind of have to, I think in many different lines and really embrace different kinds of opportunities that come across, and not be stuck in your kind of initial aspirations. Whereas I was never really one of the people who wanted to work for the UN or anything like that, but I know a lot of people who study in this department might have this idea of either going into diplomacy or working for the UN in an exciting post. That was really never really my aspiration, but you still kind of when you start university you still have an idea of kind of staying within the field that you studied, but as I said, I think you have to be kind of open to many different types of employment. First of all, obviously, having a degree or 2 degrees always helps, obviously. It makes you employable, but also speaking a few different languages perhaps, and also having volunteered and shown a genuine interest and passion for this type of work. So I could recommend also getting involved in different societies, perhaps at university, or debating forums such as the CSD, and also having extracurricular experience in addition to your degree.